When first encountering Hypmic's mid-bro of Ikebukuro, many fans are left with the impression that Jiro is just a knockoff Ichiro, and they're not wrong per se. But there is more than meets the Tarime when it comes to Jiro's character. In canon, after the Buster Bros leave their orphanage, Jiro starts to mold himself to match the older brother he idolizes so much. He tries to copy Ichiro's optimistic attitude, shares Ichiro's taste in anime, exposes his midriff to the public, and of course, wants to be a legendary rapper just like his Nichan. Jiro calls Ichiro his hero, his king, and his god. His larger-than-life image of his older brother isn't without good reason. Jiro's world was turned upside down when he was kidnapped and held hostage by Ichiro's old loan shark boss and his own foster father. And amidst all the chaos, it was Ichiro, his supposedly no-good brother, who came to Jiro's and Saburo's aid, for no other reason than them being family. This traumatic incident carved two beliefs into both of the younger Yamadas. The first being that blood is thicker than water, and the second being that Ichiro will always be there to protect them. This trauma-bonded sibling dynamic is core to all the Buster Bros, but Jiro especially. If everyone else's microphone is based on their occupation, then the Buster Bros' job is to be a family. Jiro knows how hard Ichiro has worked to provide for him and Saburo. Both of them want to return at least some of Ichiro's effort by being of use to him. For Jiro, that means playing to his strengths as a social butterfly and using his contacts to gather info when he's not scoping things out himself. And while Jiro sees himself as Ichiro's right-hand man, there's an underlying bitterness to always being in Ichiro's shadow. Jiro's obsession with Ichiro means he feels the need to constantly prove himself, and as a result, Jiro can come off as hot-headed and, well, stupid. Sure, he may struggle with literacy and cardinal directions, but what Jiro lacks in book smarts, he makes up for with street smarts. Like the time he handed his mic over to a complete stranger, or thought cross-dressing would get him into a host club. His cap is not for thinking, we'll put it that way. But when confronted, Jiro's bark can be pretty intimidating, and he's not afraid of physical confrontation, especially if he feels like Ichiro's pride is on the line. He's more than happy to talk shit and make a scene, which adds to his image as a rowdy delinquent. Not the threatening kind, of course, but the kind that shows his soft side to kittens in the rain and makes schoolgirls swoon. It's hard to talk about any of the Buster Bros without bringing up Ikebukuro Westgate Park. Originally a short story about delinquents and crime in Ikebukuro, named after the real-life location outside of Ikebukuro Station, the first installment became a series, and was adapted into a very successful and influential television show in the year 2000. It's since been readapted over and over, and has had a major influence on the urban mystery genre in Japan, notably serving as the inspiration for the novel series Durarara, as well as our headlining division in Hypnosis Mic. The characters from Ikebukuro Westgate Park don't map directly onto the Buster Bros, but it's obvious that the overall aesthetic of the show is clearly baked into Jiro and his brothers. This includes how it looked and sounded. Ikebukuro Westgate Park would use vinyl scratches as segues between scenes and mix in hip-hop elements with its overall garage band soundtrack. This is where Jiro's speaker comes in. It is the rock to Ichiro's hip-hop, representing both Jiro's musical interests and the sound profile most associated with Ikebukuro going into the new millennium. In his hard rock introductory song, This Means War, Jiro comes out swinging, confident he'll blast his enemies away. Jiro also describes himself in this song as a proud guard dog, which is a running motif for him. His speaker has a sticker of a dog muzzle on it, his Sanrio collab character is a dog, and he summons the mythical guard dog Kerberos in the second episode of the anime. Jiro's personality is pretty dog-like as well. He's energetic, he's friendly, he can't keep his tongue in his mouth, he likes to chase balls, and at the beginning of Hypmic's story, he's unquestionably loyal to Ichiro, so much so that Ichiro has to occasionally scold him about it. Jiro's official quote, "We don't stop playing because we grow old because we stop playing," is credited to the Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw, and it nicely sums up Jiro's immature yet bright-sided nature. I couldn't find much of a connection between Jiro and George. It's actually unclear if he's even the correct source for the quote. However, Mr. Shaw did apparently have a propensity for praising dictators. And one can take that loaded pot of questionable political views and boil it down into the motto that there is someone else who knows best. And for Jiro, he definitely believes that Ichiro is the someone else who knows best. And who better to destroy Jiro's precious belief in his older brother than Mr. Burn It All Down and Start from Zero? Jiro adamantly refuses to believe Ray when he reveals himself as the Buster dad until MC Big Bro himself confirms that he had indeed lied about the alive status of their biological father. And Jiro is devastated that his Nichan would lie about something as important as remaining living family members. Jiro must then struggle with what to do when your god tells you that your god is a liar. Ichiro was Jiro's ideological reference for what to do and how to live. So when his divine Nichan becomes human, Jiro loses his idol, his mentor, and his father figure all at once, and is left to wander aimlessly until he finally decides to use his own judgment and topple the big brother, little brother totem that's held Jiro back from thinking of himself as an individual. He switches from addressing Ichiro as Nichan to calling him Aniki, in what becomes Jiro's defining moment of character growth. His Nichan may be gone, but it's now possible for Jiro to someday catch up to his Aniki and meet him as an equal. Ray may have thrown the Buster Bros relationship off balance, but ultimately the conflict caused their bonds to reform stronger, as shown in the group's song Restart. The cocky kid from This Means War has now come to terms with the fact that he still has a way to go before he can help his brothers win the championship. And his shock to reality pays off nicely within the narrative, where the Buster Bros were able to make it to the finals in the second DRB instead of being knocked out in the first round thanks to their newfound resolve. Of course, the meta reason for this is because everybody wanted to see Ray's ass get kicked, but it still makes for a nice story arc. Jiro reflects on his personal journey in his second solo, School of IKB, where he pays homage to his hometown and gives thanks to the streets that raised him, while acknowledging the future still lies ahead. Jiro is only 17, and he's still finding himself. His lyrics convey that no matter how dark things may become, there's always light on the horizon. There's no rain that never ends, homie don't cry. Where we're aiming for, it's so high. Look up to the east, see? There's sunshine. Hold up. He's literally just talking about how the Sunshine Building is in the east part of town, isn't he? God damn it, Jiro.